What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and it's new release Saturday. Today we're going to be taking a look at Flamin Hot, a Disney Plus and Hulu original film directed by Eva Longoria, starring Jesse Garcia, Annie Gonzalez, Emilio Rivera, Vanessa Martinez, Dennis Haybert, Tony Shalhoub, and Matt Walsh. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's new release Saturday, and we're here today to discuss the Disney Plus Hulu original film directed by Eva Longoria, Flamin' Hot. And our movie opens in Ontario, California in the year 1966 as Ricardo Montañez grows up a hard-working child with a strict father but a supportive grandfather. He meets his future wife, Judy, in school where he begins to sell burritos to the other children. Richard is actually arrested at a very young age when nobody believes that he made the money honestly. As an adult, Richard and Judy live their lives as hoodlums, selling drugs and stuff. But they turn their lives around once Judy gets pregnant with their first child. A second child later, and Richard and his family begin to struggle to try to make ends meet as he searches for work. Richard eventually turns to his friend and fellow former hoodlum, Tony Romero, who helps him get a job at Frito-Lay. Now, despite lying on his resume, floorhead Lonnie Mason hires Richard. Richard then begins to pay attention to all of the nuances of the factory and starts pursuing engineer maintenance leader Clarence C. Baker in order to help with teaching him about the machines. Now, despite some reluctance, Baker agrees and teaches Richard how to operate all of the machinery in the factory. Unfortunately, the Reagan administration begins to severely affect low-level paying jobs, and Frito-Lay's stocks begin to go down. This eventually results in some of the workers getting laid off. Frito-Lay CEO Roger Enrico puts a video out to the workers, which is viewed by Richard, and gets the inspiration to think like a CEO. After picking up his kids from school one day, Richard takes them out for elotes. Upon noticing that his youngest son, Stephen, likes the spicy flavor despite it bothering him, he realizes that the way to save Frito-Lay is to pitch the Latino market. He convinces Baker and the rest of his coworkers to let him take some of the unflavored Cheetos home with him. But Judy asks that he first talk with his father, Vacho, about a job. Vacho ends up belittling Richard's plans, causing Judy to support Richard even more. The Montañezes work tirelessly, trying to find the perfect spicy flavor for Cheetos, eventually finding the right concoction. Richard attempts to pitch his idea to Lonnie, but Lonnie turns him down, forcing him to sneak in and copy Enrico's phone number. Richard manages to get through to Enrico, who, while perplexed over being called by a janitor, is intrigued to learn that he saw his video, and he asks that Richard send his flavored Cheetos to him. Enrico tastes them and is immediately hooked, setting up a meeting at the factory right away. While Lonnie is upset with Richard, he prepares himself for the pitch, finally getting the approval of his father to back him up. Richard proceeds to speak from the heart, and his pitch is accepted, with the Flamin Hot Cheetos being put into production. Now, while this results in more jobs, the new flavor is not flying off the shelves. Disappointed, Richard's children point out that there are no advertisements for the new flavor. So Richard returns to work and orders everyone to use their skills in order to sell the new flavor straight from the streets. The tactic works, and Enrico calls to ask that the factory produce an even bigger order. While Baker gets the promotion that he's always desired, Richard is still a janitor, although Baker gives him support. Lonnie asks Richard to clean upstairs, only to find Enrico, who tells him that he understands his struggles growing up. Enrico then reveals that Richard has been promoted to the director of multicultural marketing. Richard is applauded by all of his coworkers for his success, and he happily calls Judy in order to tell her the good news. It is then revealed that Richard retired from the company in 2019 after 45 years, and that he and Judy are still together, and our movie comes to its close. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This movie was very much a product of I need to find a movie that I can watch without spending money in the theaters and what's coming out on streaming. I'm not a fan of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Never been a fan of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I actually can't do spicy. It just wrecks my system. I can do spice to a certain level, but once you cross that threshold, I'm gone. And while some of you out there may be like, Renegade, Flamin' Hot Cheetos aren't even that spicy. They're spicy to me. And the way my stomach is and the way my system is, it just wrecks me. So as a result, I've never been a fan of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. People try to give them to me. I'm like, boy, get that away from me. Can't do it. But I'm always interested in those biopic type of films, especially when it's a rags to riches type of story. I mean, you figure this guy, Richard Montañez, and I apologize, Richard, if I've been butchering your name this entire time, but you figure this guy is just a kid from Ontario, California, a thug, a hoodlum, a man who sold drugs and stole and robbed people. And he got out of that life before it could consume him and turned his life around. And not only turned his life around, but created something that is loved the world over, even if it's not something that's a personal favorite of mine. The biggest thing that I learned in watching this film was the fact that he grew up in Ontario, California, and that all this took place at the Frito-Lay plant in Rancho Cucamonga. For those of you that have been following me for a while, I lived in Ontario for a while, and I lived in Rancho Cucamonga for a while. In fact, I lived just down the street from that Frito-Lay plant. Truth be told, I actually have applied to work at that Frito-Lay plant before, and I was turned down. That's not what this review is about, so I'm not going to go down that road, but I applied and I was rejected from that Frito-Lay plant. But the knowledge now, knowing that I could have worked at the same plant as Richard while Richard was still employed with the company, had I been hired, is just a situation for me, because it's a small world after all, as Disney likes to say. I had no idea that this billion-dollar franchise, possibly, even if we're being honest at this point, possibly a trillion-dollar franchise of Flamin' Hot products, which isn't just Cheetos anymore, started where I lived for almost 10 years. It's mind-numbing to me. And that gave me this whole other level of sense of pride, because where I can't claim Ontario or Rancho Cucamonga is like my hometown or nothing, because I'm branded Long Beach, because that is my hometown. Just knowing that somewhere that I spent that much time is responsible for this, kind of, you puff your chest out a little bit more. You get that sense of pride about you. It's like, man, okay. Didn't really know what Rancho Cucamonga was known for prior to living there. Even after moving there, it's like, for me, Rancho Cucamonga is where Craig went to live with Day Day after the events of the first Friday movie. That's what Rancho Cucamonga was known for. And now knowing that it's known for Flaming Hot Cheetos and the whole Flaming Hot movement that occurred, that's pretty cool. I enjoyed the movie. I thought the actors did an amazing job. I had very little knowledge of most of the actors going in, with the exceptions of Tony Shalhoub, Monk, Dennis Haybert, Pedro Serrano from Major League. And that was the name that really hooked me, because I haven't seen Dennis Haybert do anything in a minute. Not to say that he hasn't been active, but it's been a minute since he's crossed my TV screens. So to see his name in this, and then to see the strength of his part, because he plays Baker, the engineer who's really kind of showing Richard the ropes of the machines. Man, I was like, dude, good on you. It was cool to see him in a big role and not in just something that was like a meaningless character within the confines of the movie. So that meant a lot to me, because growing up loving the Major League movies, Pedro Serrano being one of my favorite characters within the franchise, Jobu, Buddha, Jobu. And the whole nine with that character, it was just kind of cool to see him again. Again, I did enjoy the film. I would recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Flaming Hot Cheetos. When it comes to my ranking for this film, I give Flamin' Hot 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really well told. I thought that Eva Longoria did a great job directing it. Thought all the actors did a great job in their roles. I feel like the story flowed and there wasn't really any dead TV time. The movie was a little over an hour and a half. I want to say it was about 99 minutes. But it continued to flow and go, and there was no wasted time. There was no lull, no lag, and that's very important in modern day storytelling. 4 out of 5 stars for me. What do you guys think? Those of you that have seen Flamin' Hot, let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. And let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in later on right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media. It'd be time once again for the Saturday night shenanigans that are open mic night. Myself, the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, the Heeb Man James Hebert, the Simple Man Noah Foster, all will be there, as well as anybody else from the normal crew who decides that they want to step into the studio, step up to the microphone, and engage us in conversation regarding the week of professional wrestling. And then tomorrow, right here, back on the Casa D18 Studios channel, it'll be time once again to step into the war zone. That's right, it'll be time for another edition of the Weekly Acquisition Report, the show where I, the Renegade, show you, the viewers, the latest additions to my ever-growing movie library. And then we'll be back on Monday for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews as we kick off our final week of Johnny Depp films and we talk about Finding Neverland, the story of J.M. Barrie, the author of Peter Pan. Starring, of course, Johnny Depp alongside Kate Winslet, Dustin Hoffman, Julie Christie, Freddie Highmore, Ian Hart, Kelly MacDonald, and Toby Jones. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media. Forbidden Door watch-along coverage, open mic night, the War Zone, Finding Neverland, and more Johnny Depp films as we wrap up our celebration of his 60th birthday right here on the channel. Again, you don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Stat Boy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, Pay-Per-View PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life. Fans of biopics, fans of Jesse Garcia, fans of Tony Shalhoub, fans of Dennis Haybert, fans of Flamin Hot Cheetos. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them, as it's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up in YouTube's algorithms now that we are in fact a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me and tuned in today. That means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. And I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.